This is Mary Flower again, and I want to show you some books or rebooked art junk journals that I made out of old children's book, basically. I'll set these here and do one at a time. Just do a quick flip through. This one is from a book from about the 30s, I think, 20s or 30s, and I think it's really cute. I actually used brads from the outside in because it's only one signature on this, and it was really simple. It didn't have very many images in it, and I used as many as I could, which were actually all of them, and to put on the inside, because I like to use a lot of the images from the books themselves to put on the inside. So let me do a quick flip through on that one. And I really like the colors, and I tried to stay with these sort of old-fashioned colors. So as you can see, these were already there. And what I did with this is I made little pockets with many as the images as I could, and I used pieces of the pages so it could either be written on, and I have two in each. Let me see if I can get that back in there. I'll put it over here for a minute. And on this side it's a smaller pocket, and using basically the index there. And so there you'll notice that there's not a lot of images, but I used every one that I could. Same here. And on both sides I used it. You can see here's one of the images, but there is places to write on the other side. Here's another one here. And on this side I just made a different kind of a pocket, but two nice little places. This side is just a pocket by itself, but many pockets in here. Here is another one of the images. And I don't know if this will go back in. It looks like it will easily, so I'll put that in there. Here's another one here, and this one didn't have an image, but I used some papers. But if you'll notice, I used the same colors as on the front here. Here's another image. Just another pocket here. A little piece of the page right there. And this on the back. So you can see there's not a lot of pages in this, but it's very simple. But it's really nice for somebody who wanted to put maybe some old school pictures in or something, or about their children. So I'll just keep this with here, and then I'll put it in a little bit. Then I made this one. And this one's kind of interesting because this is actually the whole old cover on this. But I added a little gold. If I turn it into the light, you can kind of see the gold in there that I just put in. It made it prettier. And I try to stay with kind of the theme or the colors of the cover, which is the original cover. With these, I wanted simple browns and reds and dark browns. And I did use the cutter for the lace edging here. But it's pretty simple as well, which I really like. Leaves a lot of space for whatever you want in here. I'll show you another one I did that I used with this, and I used nothing but browns and golds, and I'll show that to you maybe on the next video. But they're pretty simple, but nice, and has a good feel to it. And I think that it might even be nice to use these for an ancestor or something, because I will be doing some of that kind of stuff. This one it's pretty beat up, but I did manage to use the original cover. I put two little funny bunnies on this because it's called Billy Bunny. And I love the color. I didn't add any color to this at all. It's just even everything that's beat up, everything about it was the original. And the little bunnies kind of go with it here. So I'll do a quick flip through on that. And I tried to stay pretty much with the greens and kind of reds in this as well. I did some cards and made these little pockets here out of antique, some kind of antique Sears and Roebuck or something. I can't remember exactly, but you can see it's pretty simple here. This was actually an image from it. And so, like I said, I try to use, it only had a few, I think. And so if I do that, I try to include it in there as much as possible. Anything about the book, I do try to include it to some degree. But it has a simple look to it. It has another pocket here with several things that could be used. Simple as I can make it. This is another image, and I think there was probably only 2 images maybe in the whole book. And I used a little bit of the book page. So that's all that one is. This one is a Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, and I did have to reinforce it a little bit here and tied it this way. I used, what about four signatures here? 3 signatures. And I really like this. I actually put some gel medium over the top because it was kind of falling apart right through here. And I like to at least keep it so it's not, you know, flaking away somehow. And I tried to stick with the theme and kind of the colors with it. I used some other things, but tried to stay in, you know, doing some of the lace edging. And here's another pocket I made. It does look like I used a Sears and Roebuck catalog, an antique one that was basically falling apart, and I made a bunch of those. And I liked how they turned out. The same with this one, if you can see. I probably didn't have that pulled up where you could see it. This one is really cute. Used a lot of the edging that I could on little index cards from old libraries. And I won't show everything, but do a quick flip through. I used old reference books on some of the pages for these that I found. There was a huge sale on old library books that I got. Oh, wow. I got a lot of good old reference books and stuff, and they were pretty fun to use in this kind of a thing. These were probably some of the reference books. Beautiful paper here. I had this. This is actually kind of a wallpaper or something, I think. And made it small. Another card. This time I used old music sheets. And that's pretty much it on that one. I think that one turned out very nicely. I like that. On these, if the edges aren't round, sometimes I will make the edges round to make them a little, you know, kind of neater. This one is just an old book. I used this really good Gorilla tape on here, and I used, I think, a hemp string binding on this that I had a long time ago. And this is just sort of, you know, a little bit of everything in it. I have all sorts of, just sort of eclectic, from everywhere. All sorts of unusual papers that I used in this little pocket there. And some of them I tea-dyed, but not all of them. You can see that was an old reference book. It says family. Used old paper bags for this type of thing here. Maps, old maps, and old ledger papers. Didn't have writing in it, and so the ones that doesn't have writing in it, I have several index books that don't have any writing in it. If it has the antique writing, I definitely use it for another purpose, but because I want to do some interesting art on old ledgers, which I did start with a very small book, but I don't know where I put it, so I will get that out and show that to you. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this, but I have a lot of stepchildren and step-grandchildren and regular children and regular grandchildren and a lot of people that call me Aunt Mary. So I have a lot of people that I want to be making these books for. And they all just love these books that I make. Okay, here's some more here. You can see the little index there. So that one just has an old photograph on it and a piece of some kind of lace here. And I'll put that one over there. This one I did a little differently. I just used my binder just to see how this would turn out. And it's okay. I said I never used that, but apparently I had one that I put in there. They may have been falling out or something. But this one, I just decided to just take a bunch and put it together like this, because I wanted to see how it would look. And I think I kind of like it. This was basically just kind of my leftover papers, designer papers, weird papers, papers from restaurants, all sorts of papers, and just thought it'd be fun to throw it in here. This was an old book, and it was just falling apart, so I did try this a little differently here. Then this one's one of my favorite. This one's an old school book, and I used a lot of the images, which were pretty good images for this one. I love the colors on this, and I love the old flatness of the color. It doesn't have a shine to it. It's just yummy. And so I tried to stick with a lot of those colors and from this book and stay with the theme. It's kind of a school boy, school girl type theme on here, using the images, which were really cute, and a little funny clown. And I really liked how this one turned out. I used numbers here that were, I think, maybe even in the book or something else. But if you'll notice, I kept some of the original book in here because there is something really sweet and special about these old readers. So I did keep that in there. This one says hippo, and these are my index. If you can see the index, I'll hold it like this here, but you'll see it as we go as well. But I tried to stay with that. I even used some circus designer paper that kind of went with it. The colors. Here's another section of the book. More of the images from the book. I used a few other things too, but mostly this was an old, actually on the old kind of paper. It was it's not a good kind of paper, but somebody at some estate sale had done some paintings as a child on this paper, and it's so yummy. I like the way it looks. Reminds me of my childhood. I almost want to spray this with a crayon smell, because I used to love to go to school in the fall and walking into the schoolroom and smelling that crayons. Those, oh, I remember I thought, wow, this is so cool to be back in school. And it's still to this day a smell that I really, really like and makes me feel happy. I quite enjoyed school. I did well in school, and I liked kids. Even though we moved a lot, I still liked school, and it was a lot of fun. Sometimes we would only be a few months in one place, and that was kind of hard on us. But we managed, and we became friends. The brothers, the siblings almost became better friends in some ways than other children. Here's more here. And as you can see, I've used images from the book itself, which are beautiful images. And you can see over here the tabs I've used that go along with it. I've tried to stay with that. This one is one of my favorite books out of all of the school book ones that I've made. This one is probably one of my favorite. Maybe I'll write about school with this. I don't know. This might be kind of fun. I have wonderful memories of school. I think the teachers like me because I enjoyed doing everything in school. I loved making art, and I got attention for making art. I'll have to tell you about that sometime, but not right now. I want to finish this book. And so you can see I've stayed with the colors, stayed with the numbering system, kept a lot of the images, kept some portions of the book. And I think there's something sweeter about keeping the sections of the book in it, because, I don't know, it just gives you that feeling of what it was like. Anybody older like me that's over 60 will understand, even over 50, I think will understand, you know, using these old books, Dick and Jane books, and these old type readers. And I love the image. This is the image that was there on this book. Already there. I just tried to correlate some of the designer paper with it. And this is called Wheels and Wings. And I really like how this turned out. So there's a few of the books that I did using either old books or old school books or readers. And I like using, I have a bazillion old readers that I'm thinking of, you know, putting into books. This was just the beginning, I think. But anyway, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe and check out my giveaways. And thank you.